Hi everybody, welcome back to OC Avery. In today's video we're going to check in on the late bred birds. We're going to see how they're coming along, and then we're going to check in with all of the birds that are now in the molt, both those birds that were this season's breeders and some of the young birds. Before we get into this video, make sure to subscribe down below. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2022. We're going to begin this episode with the Redpolls. Although this season hasn't gone quite to plan with these birds, we've had some luck with this pair here in cage 17. It's a pair of normals, both very nice birds for exhibition, and they've bred us 6 youngsters over 3 clutches. They've reared 2 each time, and sadly we had lost a couple of the runts, the smaller ones that were late hatching, just through them not feeding them properly, which is a shame, but you know, we've got 6 which are all looking good. Now we've got 2 that hatched just over 2 weeks ago, we saw in the last episode. They're doing well, they've been rung and they've now jumped the nest. I've seen them picking up a few bits of food, so they're picking up egg food, they're picking up mealworms, they're picking up germinated seed, which is a great sign, and they're starting to show interest in drinking now after their mothers sort of taught them how to do it, but they are still heavily relying on her to feed them with the majority of their food. Now we've separated out the 2 other youngsters that were bred just previously to this pair, and they have now moved into the molting quarters to see them through the molt and get them on some colour feed. Now the youngsters produced by this pair, the 2 which were earlier bred birds, are looking great. You can see them in the show cage here. They've got some nice markings on the flanks and they're looking good birds, so I'm hopeful that these birds might make the show bench in my team for this season. Unlike the Redpolls, the Greenfinches have had a relatively successful year. 3 of the 5 pairs went to nest this season, multiple times rearing strong clutches. Last time round, we saw some youngsters just about to leave the nest in flight 4. The parents have done a great job, and we've since removed those youngsters from the parents, weaned them off, and they're now in the young bird room getting used to a bit of a mixed diet of the egg food, some germinated seed, and some drier hard seeds as well. In flight 2 here, we have 3 youngsters that are about 8 days old. Of course, these are rather late bred birds, these are final round birds. The parents are doing a remarkable job again, rearing them very well. They're doing a great job, even though the cockbird does look like he's starting to molt, and they're filling them up all the time with egg food and germinated seed, as well as some insects that are putting in there as well. Something that I'd love to see from this pair is just being that natural behaviour in the wild when birds go to nest. Any poo that drops on the nest or on the floor is a signal to predators that there's a nest around. Well, what the parents' birds do is pick up that and move it elsewhere, and that's exactly what this pair of greenfinches have been doing. Is this finger drawer in the top corner, although it's got some germinated seed in it at the moment, is being used for collecting poop. They've been taking poop out of the nest and around the nest and putting it elsewhere, and that just shows some natural behaviour that still remains in these birds, even though they are getting further and further sort of domesticated and different than their wild counterparts. With other young greenfinches, we've moved a lot of the pairs about now, we've separated them, and we've moved some youngsters in here as well. So we've got hens in one flight, we've got the cockbirds in another flight, we've then got 2 flights of young birds, one of 5 young birds and one of 7 young birds, both different ages, and then we've got a pair just finishing rearing here, and then of course we've got 3 youngsters in the shed that have just recently been weaned, and of course the 3 youngsters that have been reared in here. We've seen the final round of late bred birds come to an end now with the Canaries, with most of them, if not all of them, jumping the nest. We had 3 pairs that went for a late round. We had a pair of feeders, a red cockbird with a white and blue hen. We had a pair of Portuguese harlequins, they went to nest as well, and a pair of clear Irish canaries. Now, the feeders have got their youngsters, their 3 youngsters, which are a white and 2 sort of almost clears, have jumped the nest. They're doing well, they're starting to pick up a little bit more food, and egg food and germinated seed, but they are still heavily reliant on their parents for food at the moment, around 3 weeks old. We've seen them also being slightly plucked by the hen, who seems to be interested in going to nest, although she won't be doing it anytime soon until next season. The harlequins have done a good job rearing their single youngster. They did have a yellow dimorphic, however sadly it did perish. It was a youngster that we did foster out as the parents did abandon it, but sadly sadly it didn't make it. So the one Harlequin youngster is doing well. It has jumped the nest just today. It's not showing any interest in picking up food, as wouldn't expect, with it only being about 2 weeks old. The final pair of the Irish pair, their 2 youngsters jumped the nest about a week and a half ago. They are showing interest, they are starting to pick up some egg food, they are starting to pick up some germinated seed. However, nothing yet, which means that they are ready to be weaned. So what does that mean for the rest of the pairs this season? Where are they? Well, we split up most of the pairs and moved them out from their breeding quarters. So a lot of the canaries that were in the breeding cages have moved outside into the flights. A lot of the redpolls have now been split up. You'll find the cockbirds up here and the hens in a different bird room. And then other pairs, such as hybrid pairs that did fail, I might have split them up. We've got the hawfinches, they've been split up now and caged. I've caged them to steady them down a little bit more, as I do plan on showing the hen. And at the moment, they're looking a little bit worse for wear because of the molt. I just want to make sure that they're in top health, as I haven't got that close to them over the past few months, considering that they've been in breeding quarters, in breeding flights. A lot of the young birds that we did breed this year are doing rather well in the molt. Some of them are reaching the end of the molt, some of the earlier bred canaries, some of the earlier bred redpolls, and I think an early bred twite and maybe some greenfinches as well. But the rest of them are all still well in the molt, they're still being colour fed, and they're coming through and they're looking quite nice. So let's take a look at the birds and see how they're molting along. Hopefully you did enjoy today's episode and looking through some of the birds to see how they're progressing in the molt. I know that some of them are looking really good right now, and hopefully we'll be making my show team sort of come the autumn time. So if you do want to see that as well, we're going to be going through some of the young birds in next week's episode, looking at how they're coming through and reviewing them. Then make sure you are subscribed down below so you don't miss any of those episodes and any more future episodes. If you have enjoyed today's video as well, smash a like on it, it's very much appreciated. Let's make sure more people get to see videos like this. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. See you in the next one.